So let's look at how to improve our listening skills. So what are the strategies that I can really listen to? First is, as I said, that it has to be a conscious choice. So you have to prepare yourself to listen to somebody. That preparation is very, very critically important. We are going to go deeper into each one of them, right? And make a conscious choice to listen. You don't have to listen to everything that is being said to you, but when it is important to you, when the situation becomes critical and important, make that conscious choice to listen. Just because you have ears doesn't mean that you listen. Taking notes is an I'm sorry. Taking notes is an important strategy. It tells people that you care and whatever you are saying is important to me, and that's why I don't want to miss anything out. And that's why taking notes becomes a brilliant way of showing people that you care and you are listening to them. Asking questions has been talked about in so many different topics, and it's a brilliant way of understanding the other person. Remember, in the connection module, we said that how to build the bridge of understanding. I have to build the bridge of understanding from that side to this side. So what is it that you want? Is if I offer you that, then I build a very strong relationship. And questions can help me do that. How do I build that bridge of understanding? Through questions. There are two words which are important and different. The two words that are important in listening, which make a difference in your way of listening and give other people the importance. The two words, we'll talk about that. What is the important? Why is these two words are very, very important? Then give them the feedback loop. If you want to foster the conversation, if you want to grow the conversation, if you want to make them excited, this feedback loop is critical. Because there are many times when you're, especially when you're talking on the phone, hey guy, are you there? Hi, hello, are you there? Can you, have you experienced that? When the person doesn't give you a feedback, I'm sorry. When the person doesn't give you the feedback, you don't know whether he's really listening. Thus, giving that feedback loop is very, very important. Listen to the body language. Body language gives away a lot of things, whether the person is going through some trauma, anger, what kind of emotion they're going through. And listening at two levels. It's so critical to listen the two levels of listening. So these are the 8 strategies that you can apply to improve your listening skills. So let us go in deep into each one of them. Preparing to listen means, first thing, I need to remove all distractions. Okay, to remove distractions in today's world, a lot of them. Okay, I need to off my phone if it is required. I completely off my phone when I'm in meetings because for me it is important, and the whole world can stop. I have noticed that nothing happens. People who are serious about they will send you a message. If they want to get connected with you, they will get connected to you somehow or the other. So you don't have to worry about it. So there is a certain fear about keeping our phones off. What will happen? There are so many ways of coming out. There is a voicemail that you can keep, voice box that you can have. They can send a message. You can train people to, and you can train yourself to remove. There are other distractions, and phone is the biggest distraction because keep your notifications off. In fact, the best way is to remove all the social media apps from your phone. I'm not saying don't go on social media, but you can remove them or you can keep it on aeroplane mode. Best is to keep it off. No working with somebody, no looking at something. So when you want to listen, you have to remove all different kinds of distractions. Give them that focused attention. Okay. If you're working, make a note. When see there are times when you are working on something and somebody comes and disturbs you and he wants to tell you something, or you get a phone call. You tell him that, hang on, let me make a note. Now, when you say that, let me make a note, the other person knows that you're working on something. So most of the time they will say that, okay, we can talk some other time later. And then you can talk some other time later, no problem. But in case if that is important for that person, he will say that, can you give me some time? So then make a note of where you're thinking or whatever you're working, make a point over there. So making that note when you're working, when you want to trans, you know, shift from doing work to listening somebody, then you don't want to leave your trail of thought. So that making that note at that point of time becomes critical. Make that effort of making that note. If you're especially you're working on the laptop, make a note. And this is where I was going. At least some points so that you know When you come back, you can carry it from wherever you started, wherever you left. The place and location matter. If you want control in the conversation, the neutral area is the best area. If you want something, if you uh, have it in your cabin, your office, not in somebody else's office. Depends, okay? There are some times when it is better that you use somebody else's office. Sometimes you have to use a neutral place. Sometimes you can use it your own cabin. So place and location matters. Imagine somebody wants to tell you something which, and he might or she might get emotional, and you're sitting right there on the floor shop. What would happen? So be conscious about where you want to listen and the place that you want to listen to people. Okay. So if it requires, have a separate place, a neutral place where you can talk to people so that they can speak up. Sometimes, many times you have to learn to say not now. When people come and distract you, they come and barge in. You must have a strategy to tell them not now, boss. This is something which I have a deadline and I will have to meet that deadline. Learn to say not now. It's very important. Now, there are times when if you're working in your professional space, there are people who constantly have to meet you every day. Maybe you can have a fixed time for them so that you can manage those interruptions. Have 3 times in a day where tell them that 10 minutes and we open, you can come and ask me anything. Okay? It's like giving them signals that this time I'm open for listening, this time I'm not open for listening. So prepare, all these things will prepare you to listen. It will also show the other person that you are serious about your listening. So do prepare yourself to listen. We have spoken about scanner and listener. It is better. It is not necessary that I have to listen all the time. Not necessary. But when it is important to me, I better make a conscious choice. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. That's perfectly all right. Apply all the skills that you have when it is important for you. And that's what making that conscious choice is. I would rather make a conscious choice. I would make that conscious choice to be a listener. Okay. By default, we don't listen. So when things are important, make the conscious choice of listening. Taking notes, it communicates that the other person has important, easy to summarize, to be on the same page at the end of the conversation. This is what we've spoken about. Are we through with it? Okay, we can close it. You can clear doubts when you make a mail. That also brings clarity in your communication. So a brilliant tool in listening skills. Learn to make a note. Keep a notepad. Not a notepad, a book where you keep on writing everything. I have this 100-page, I have this black book. Where is that one? It is there in my bag. Okay. All the things I will make note of it there. So make notes. It will be in the long run very, very important for you because when you write it down, it becomes a kind of a fact. You remember in the planning session, we spoke about interim reality. You can create those because I can fool somebody by writing it once. But if I have the habit of writing date, time, and the person whom I spoke to, and the conversation that we had, even if that person has not signed on at that time, but if I have 15 such conversations made with that particular person, it will be extremely difficult for anyone to say this is not done. This is something which is fake. So I have used this tool many times to resolve my issues when I have issues with either with the credit card people or the banking people. There are a huge number of people. When you take notes, it is important. In fact, if you look at today's world, most of the company have their records because you're talking. They make notes. What about you? You're left hanging dry. So it becomes an important point to learn to take notes. Okay? Asking questions, asking open-ended questions to foster conversation, not asking close-ended yes/no questions. Makes no sense. So your questions should be such, and this question technique, you have to develop the art of asking that right question so that it makes the other person talk. It's not easy to make other people talk. You have to generate that trust in that person before that person, especially if it is something which is conflict management, if it is something personal, for anything, they have to trust you. So ask them that, give them that right environment and make them ask them questions so that they can talk more. It keeps the conversation alive. It helps you understand what is going on with the other party. It will propel you to reality and to find out what is the interest and need of that person. So asking questions is a brilliant tool when you want to understand people. Now, as I said that the span is very, very short. The reason why our span is short is because we have so much of background data. If I have been working with you for 4 or 5 years, there is a certain way in which I work with you. There is a certain understanding that I have about you. And when I'm listening to you, I think so that background data comes in between and interferes with my listening skills. Who do you have a shortest attention span? I bet your near and dear people because you know them the most. Your background data about that person is so huge that you already know what that person is going to tell you. I know what you're going to say. When we are open, when we are new in the relationship, that openness is there. But as the relationship grows for years together, you already know that's the background data. It's important and different, shakes us out of this background data. When you say the words important and different are the two words that shake you out of this background data. It improves our listening. So if you want to really listen, tell other people to use these words when they are listening to you, especially your near and dear ones. You can always tell your son, well, I want to listen to you. It's not necessary that I might listen to you. So if it is important for you and if you want me to listen to you, if you want me to listen to you seriously, use these words so that it will help me. I really, really want to listen to you because it is so important for me. Use these words to yourself and give this tool to other people to use these words important and different. The moment you say important, no background data. Different, no background data. Can you see how it scans and shakes you out of that background data? Use it, important and different. And it works both ways. It works on me, it works with others. Got the two words? The two words important and different. Feedback loop is so important to give that listening, that importance, that give them the feedback. The feedback can be eye contact, encouraging words, okay, tell me more, go on. Mhm. All these things are simple tools to keep this conversation, fostering the conversation, making the conversation alive. Okay, excites the other and opens up the other party. So have this feedback loop in place when you are listening to others. It's critical. Listening to body language. Now, remember friends, 97%, sorry, it is not 97, 93% of our communication is non-verbal. Let me make the correction right now. 93% of our communication is non-verbal. Body language tells us so much about people. It tells you volumes about that person. But you must practice body language. It's not that simple, but huge amount of information can be got just by the way the person walks into your cabin, the way he sits, the way he holds your hand, the shake hand. Body language can tell us a lot. You have to maintain positive body language with yourself. I can't be sitting like that. Okay. So a simple body language. If I look at you and if I am sitting like this, okay, would you like to talk to me? I'm not, but now I'm moving close towards you. I'm asking you questions. I'm taking notes. I'm giving you the positive feedback. Just try it out. What happens to you, friends? Okay? A simple nod. Simple yes. Okay. Go on. I'm listening. Okay? Be aware of their body language and you can steer the conversation. Remember, good communication when your eyes listen and your ears see. That's when complete communication happens. This is a master stroke in listening. Okay? You have to learn to listen to people. There are two levels of listening. One is the content, that is what is being said to you, and one is the emotional tone of that. So one are the feelings that's at the background, it's not in the forefront. So first level is content. What is the data, the facts, the words that are being said. The second level is the emotional tone. So if I am present to the body language of people, then I am listening to the emotional tone of the person. I remember once I had gone to give a presentation to an uh, MD of a company. Now, the moment he knew that I was there, when the receptionist called up and he said that, uh, and he said he he called me up on the phone, and when he started talking to me, I knew that he was a little uncomfortable of me being there in the office, and I said that I think so. I think so. I have come while I know that I have an appointment with you, but something tells me that right now is not the right time. I'm okay with this. If you want half an hour, no problem. I will sit in your office. Maybe you can give me some place to sit so that I can do some other work on my. Is it okay? And I'm telling you that man was says, oh God, thank you so much. I desperately something has come up and I don't like changing my appointment, but this is something which is beyond my. And that's listening to the emotional tone. The person may not be in physical presence, but this skill is critical in listening. Listen to the content and listen to the emotional tone. This requires a lot of practice. So, there is a way of practicing this and how to practice this. So, there is something called cornerstones of listening. What is cornerstones of listening? That means every day morning you get up and decide that today I will listen through friendship and stand in friendship and listen to people and see what happens to you. Next day, stand in love. Third day, stand in irritation. Try to use positive this thing obviously because it will help you. If you stand in negative this thing, you will have negative impact. But you have to try it out. So have different cornerstones and try practicing listening through different cornerstones. For 1 month in my leadership training, we were asked to do this exercise, and that's a massive, massive way of practicing listening through the cornerstones. And something amazing will happen. Rather than me telling it to you, I want you all to experience it and come back to this video and take this exercise, the cornerstones of listening. One day, friendship. Second day, love. Third, peace. Then something else. Then something else. For 7 days, take something. Constantly remind throughout the day that today is my day of listening through friendship. Then, next day, my listening through love. Third day, through peace, through contentment, whatever works for you. Write it down. Make notes of what is your experience and please come and share in the chat box below this and write down what is your experience when you start listening to people through these cornerstones of listening. Truly a magnificent tool for you to practice your listening. One simple tool which I want to give you is start repeating what the other person says in your mind, and you will be able to reproduce whatever that person is saying to you, so that we don't add something, we don't have any prejudice, we don't, it will take all the don'ts taken care of. So as people are saying something to you, start the habit of repeating what they said in your mind, what exactly the same word. So exactly the same word, no addition. Okay, it's a real huge practice that you have to do. But if you do it, listening will not be a problem. Listening is challenging to prove simply because it's a state of mind and not only a skill. I need to take control of myself, and that's why it is a state of mind and not really a skill. You can't grow or make changes for your life if you are not listening. Because I'm not only listening to others, I have to listen to myself also. It's not about listening only to others. You got to listen to what is being said to yourself. You have a lot of things when you say some things to yourself. We have spoken about the word internal dialogue, right? So listen to yourself, as make that habit of listening to yourself, right? Remember that listening leaders are today's demand. Be one. Thank you.